Hey guys, welcome back to Ashley's Homestead Adventures. We are starting today's vlog in the kitchen, making sourdough discard bread. This is the honey wheat version. You can snapshot that if you'd like to. I have my bowl here with my scale, and I'm just going to turn it on. Added about 100 grams of discard. And that I also added the liquid on top of the discard. That's called hooch, and it's not a bad thing. Hooch is just basically a alcohol that releases from underfed sourdough, and of course this is our sourdough discard, and so it is underfed because it's the discard. And a lot of people will just mix it right into their sourdough starter, as long as it is, you know, yellowish in color and doesn't smell like mold or anything like that. It's completely fine. It's something that you get used to dealing with when you have sourdough. We added 265 grams of water, and as you can see, there is some sourdough that's floating up. That tells us that it is still going to have some rise. If your sourdough floats, then that is one of the tests to know if your sourdough starter is good. But of course, this is a sourdough discard recipe. We're going to be using yeast, so it doesn't really matter, but it is nice to see that even in my discard, I still have, and even with hooch, I still have a good active starter. It just means she's strong. 400 grams of whole wheat flour went in the bowl. And now I'm going to add 100 grams of all-purpose flour. Okay, and we'll take her to the mixer. It has my dough hook on it. And we will mix her until she forms a shaggy dough. Just like that. We'll cover her up and let her rest for 30 minutes. And this is Cheeky. Cheeky is my sourdough starter. This is my active sourdough starter. You can see from the bubbles in her. And we are going to feed her because I do want to make some bread with her either tonight or tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed her right now. I'm starting by getting her on my scale and weighing her. She weighs 192 grams, so I'm gonna cut her in half. So I a little bit more than cut her in half. She's now 72 grams. So now I will feed her with 72 grams of flour and 72 grams of water. And I will go ahead and split the flour and do half wheat and half white. So 43 grams of whole wheat flour. And then I'll just add white flour until I get to 72 grams. 74, that's fine. Close enough. Now I'll zero out my scale. And add 74 grams of water. Oop, a little too much. That is okay. That's why I have a spoon here. Okay, there we go. Mix this together and my sourdough starter's fed. I plopped her into a new jar. Got my rubber band out, and I'm gonna put this rubber band to where the level of where she is right now, so that I know when she has doubled in size and is ready to use. My discard will go back in the fridge until the next time I need it. All right, it's been 30 minutes, so we'll take this off of here, bring it back over to our cutting board, get scale and we'll add the rest of the ingredients. 60 grams of butter. 20 grams of sugar. 10 grams of salt. I'm using pink salt. And 7 grams of yeast. I'm using Red Star. Back through the mixer it goes. Lock. 6 minutes. It should start slapping the sides. All right, see there how the sides are all smooth? It's cleaned off the sides. And it's just kind of wobbling around, slapping the sides. Now we cover it up and let it rise for an hour. We can take our hook off now. We are going to go out and get some chores done while we wait. The horses are all out to pasture today, enjoying some sunshine. We are headed out to the teenager coop, see if they need anything. Looks like some waters need done out here, and I did bring them a little bit of food, so I'll give them that. Go. Happy? Everybody happy? Good. We should probably stop and water. Whoa, that was pretty close there, Days. The horse's carrots here. This is the bed that I grow for my animals. And these are carrots. I don't need nearly as much water in the winter time as I do in the summer, but we haven't had any rain for a few days, so thought I'd better water them. Well, it looks like Velvet's water needs to be scrubbed. There, that's much better. Now we'll just add some apple cider vinegar to it. Good for their immune systems. And I am going to work on some stalls. All right, we aren't quite done with stalls yet. We got Gracie's done, and Maggie's is done, and Chance's is done, but I still have Josie's and Velvet's to finish. But it is time to put feeds out, so let's do that. Here is what the dog's food looks like tonight. 2 of them are with Daddy, and 2 of them are in the house, and so Missy Rumor's gonna have to eat by herself tonight, and we'll wait for the others to get home to feed everybody else. Okay. Our alarm just went off, so we're gonna go in and wash our hands really good and get that bread shaped and into a loaf pan for its second rise. All right, here it is. So I'll get my board, floured, ready for it, and get it shaped. I just realized that I forgot the honey in this, so I don't think I'm going to add it at this point. It is fine, and we will just go ahead and bake this without the honey. It just won't be as sweet. I missed 20 grams of honey in this recipe. I just realized it, so darn it. It is okay. It is still sweet. It's just not as sweet as the honey wheat, so it'll all be okay. Sometimes those things happen, but it does look like a good loaf at this point, so we're gonna go ahead and just roll with it and let it be proof that I make mistakes. Okay, there we are in the pan, and now we will cover it. Put it back over here on the stove. And we'll cover it and let it rise for another hour, maybe 2. The last loaf I did had to raise for 2 hours. We want it to rise until it's above the lip of the pan. So we'll see how it goes. Get the bee fed. There you go, sugar muffin. Oh, and I got the other old lady from the house. She's excited. Okay. Happy dogs. Okay, all the stalls are done and everybody is in from outside and enjoying their dinner, and I am going to go get some pears, I think, for snack time, but see if you guys can check out this sunset we got going on. Isn't that something? It's a pretty one tonight. And the chocolate morsels got home from a day with Daddy. They got their dinner. All right, I got snacks. You want yours? I don't see anybody else. Miss Grace. That's your apple. Ready to put in your thing? Is your mouth full? Oh my goodness. Mr. Drooly Pants. Just, God, you are just brutal. Gotta watch your fingers with her. Max, I'll drop hers off in her grain. There you go. No. Sound of slurping horses never gets old. I love it. Now that chores are done, we're going to head inside and wait for our timer to go off for the bread. In the meantime, our sourdough starter has grown, so we're going to go ahead and start a loaf of sourdough bread with her. Now, for those of you who don't know, sourdough bread takes a while to make, depending on which method you follow. My sourdough takes about 48 hours from start to finish, so the ending of this bread will not be in this video, but we will go ahead and start it while we wait for the other loaf of bread to rise and bake. Here is the recipe that we will be following for this sourdough loaf. 100 grams of sourdough starter active, 325 grams of water, 475 grams of all-purpose flour, and 10 grams of salt. I get in there with my hands that are clean, freshly washed, and mix it to a shaggy dough. Just like that, and we will cover her up and let her rest for 30 minutes, and we'll start stretches and folds. Then I went ahead and fed Chicky again, and I'm leaving her back out on the counter to start another loaf early in the morning. All right, our alarm has gone off. It's been an hour, and we are just barely risen over the edge. So I'm gonna go ahead and preheat the oven to 350 for 10 minutes. All right, timer just went off for our oven. It's preheated. In she goes. Time to stretch and fold. Minutes later. There it is. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today, making bread and doing some chores. I'll catch you on the next one. Yours truly.